Okay, folks. So in this video, I'm going to show how I use this shape, which I call the bathtub, which I created and then gave it some emissive colors using a rather complicated shader setup over here, which I will go through in the video. And I use this to create this kind of retro text look. My inspiration for this was from a YouTube film where a guy shows how to do this in Photoshop, and he gets a very cool look. And Photoshop's a funny program because it's not 3D. It's not a 3D program, but it has a lot of 3D effects in it. Basically, you can make things look like they're 3D, but it's only from a fixed viewpoint. And obviously, you can't go into the scene and rotate around it, around the scene. But you can actually do some 3D stuff in it. So I was trying to emulate that look, but then in Blender, but then in real 3D. And I think this is pretty good. What he also does, which I'll put on the screen now, he also puts I think it's called an inner shadow on the text, and that is really fucking cool. I don't know how to do that in Blender. Obviously, I don't think it's possible in the way that he does it because, Blender isn't Photoshop. But it could be possible to add some kind of material to the center part of the text with some depth and some transparency, and make it a bit glassy and let the light refract around the edges somehow. I don't know. Maybe that would be like a future video I could try and make if I can work out how to do that. If, of course, anybody has any suggestions, please put it in the comments, because I'm a bit of a beginner, so I have no clue really how to do that. With all that said, and without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Okay, so here we are. I've already got my text in, and it's converted to a curve. So let's go into edit mode, and let's just give it a bevel. We're going to put the resolution on 1 because we want it to have a sharp edge. This is too much bevel. Let's just bring it back. Okay, that's more or less nice. We've got a problem over here and over here. There's some weirdness in the geometry of the curve. So what we can do is we select all, and then we go up here and we put on our statistics, and we can see over here we've got 168 points on the curve. If I press N and then go over to edit and sanitize, and then watch this number here, it's going to change. Remove doubles. Now we've only got 159. So there were some double points which have been removed, and it now looks a lot nicer. And to see this menu here, you need to have this add-on installed. Let's have a look. Curve tools. That's part of that add-on. Alrighty. Let's give ourselves a bit more resolution on the curve. Make it a bit smoother. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use we're going to create our sort of bathtub shape object, which is going to reflect, which this text is going to get its reflection from. So to do that, let's go into quad view. Just want to have these three windows synced up. So let's go to view, quad, and turn this one on. And now we're synced in with our view. Let's create a cube and go into wireframe so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to just reshape this one a little bit. Something like this. It could be a little bit bigger, actually. Yeah, that's pretty much okay. Oh, I should have been in edit view here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to object and apply, because if you look over here, I've now got scaling happening, but it should have been done in the edits level. So go to object, apply all transforms, and this is now zeroed out. So what we want to do firstly is we want to delete one of the faces, because the face behind the text, which is this face, this. It's not letting me select it. Oh, because we're in wireframe. This face here, we don't need this face because this face is behind the text, and we want to get rid of it so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay, but let's stay in wireframe for the moment. Now we're going to add a couple of loop cuts. So we want to have a loop cut here and a loop cut here. No, that's wrong. Let's just undo that. Face. Yep. So let's just do loop cuts again. So here and here. No, that's wrong. It's a bit finicky. Also wrong. Right, this is good. In fact, we can get out of quad view now. All right, let's select this one and scale. And this one and scale again. Something like that. We're going to go over to our modifiers and put on a subdivision surface. Let's give it 2 and let's shade smooth. And in fact, we can give it another 1. That's good. So this is our starting point. Okay, let's make our text reflective. Our world needs to be black. So here in camera view, we can't see our text. The problem is that the cube, let's rename this to bathtub. Bathtub is blocking our view to the camera because the camera's here and the bathtub's in the way, because we're going to be viewing it from here, and the light is going to reflect not on this side but on the other side. So we need to go over to, we need to select our bathtub, go to here and visibility and nothing, because we're in the wrong render engine. We need to go to cycles, otherwise nothing is going to work. Back here, visibility, and then turn off ray visibility camera. So this basically makes the bathtub invisible to the camera. And we need to be in render mode to actually see that. So if I turn it back on, the bathtub blocks the text. I turn it off, and we see it. And in fact, we can now get rid of this light. Okay, so we can now start to work on our shader for the bathtub. So let's put in a color ramp, plug that in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of a rainbow colored color ramp, which I won't actually in the end use, but it just makes it a little bit easier to show or to set up this shader. So to do that, we're going to put this on HSV. We're going to select, doesn't matter too much, but we'll select a color over here, a color over here, and then put this on far. And now the rainbow wraps all the way around. Okay, we don't see that here because we need to get our mapping done. So a texture coordinate. And let's plug that in. Generated is good. We're still not good because we need to get the right axis. So put in a separate XYZ and plug in the Z. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to pull another window down here. And we're going to use this one here so we can also visualize what's happening outside of the camera's view down here. Okay, so a quick explanation. So the problem here is that I could actually do everything I want to do with this just one color ramp. But the thing is, I want to have there's basically two main reflections in this little scene. The one reflection is the reflection from the front face of the text, so this area here, and the other reflections are going to be the reflections off the beveled part, which is at 45 degrees to the main surface, and you can already see that the parts which are reflecting on the 45 degrees part are the top and the bottom here, and obviously on the sides, it's these sides here. So the thing is, I'm just going to go in here into the top, into front view on top, orthographic view. Basically, I want to have a lot of control in this area here. Okay. And if we look at the colors which cover this area, it is basically this area of the color ramp. But I'm going to be wanting to put in 4 or 5 or 6 of these little markers just in this one little area. So it's just not enough space here, and there's not enough resolution to be able to do what I want to do. So what I'm actually going to do is split up this into 3 different color ramps. So this one here will take part of this middle section, and then I will make another color ramp which takes part of the top section, and another one which takes part of the bottom section. So that's basically what this shader is going to be, and it's going to be a little bit complicated. So bear with me. I'll try to do my best. I can't promise not to fuck up and have to fix something. But yeah, let's give it a go. So what we will need, let's make this a little bit smaller, is a mix, and let's also make this one for now a bit smaller. So we need a mix shader. Can plug that in there, and let's think about this. So the first thing to do, actually we don't need this for now, let's just mute that. The first thing we need to do is we need to restrict this one into just this range here. And we do that with a mapping node. We plug that in here. Now I know, because I've been messing around with this, that I need to do about 7.9 on the scale to squash it down. And then I need to, on the Z-axis, bring it up. So we can see, actually the scale could be a little bit larger. And this is just where the tweaking comes in. You have to just mess around with it. So basically we want to have this, what we see here, we want this to mirror roughly here, but be a little bit bigger. So that we see the whole of this text is covered by this one color ramp. The whole, I mean, something like this is okay. Make it even a little bit bigger. Right, that'll do. Okay. So now we need our mix shader. We're gonna pull up a holdout and plug this in here. And what we need to now do is we need to now find the points. Basically this holdout is going to be for now doing the top part, and we want to find out the place where they should join together. So we need a mapping node for that. That comes up here. We also need another color ramp, and this one we're going to put on constant, and we're going to squidge these two together. Going to plug this one in here and plug this one in the factor here. So now, because it's constant, see if I turn it on to ease, it's or B-spline even, it's like more of a gradient. But constant just gives us a hard line, which is useful for determining the location of the crossover. So we know that's going to be just outside of the text, about there. Okay, now we can remove the holdouts, put it down here for the moment. We're going to copy our color ramp and plug that in here. Okay. Now we're not good yet because we need to map this one as well. So let's put this one in here, this one in here, and let's map it. Okay. We're going to need to scale this one as well. And move it to the right place. So maybe we can just... So again, we want to see this around here and this at the top. And then we know we've got more or less the right scale. It doesn't matter too much, to be honest. This one is the middle one is the important one, and this is less important. And we can actually swap these around now and see how our crossover is. Now you can see we've got a hard line here, and that's because of this. So we're going to change this to ease. And now you can see we have a fairly smooth crossover, and we can even tweak that more with this one. So that's good. Okay. So now that we've got that set, we know this is in the right place. We can actually, for now, put this back on RGB, delete this one, and put this one on, I don't know, on white maybe. Okay. Let's do the same trick to find the bottom section. So we're going to again plug, we need to get, and then again, a new mix shader. Plug that in here, plug the holder in there. Again, we need we had a folder here, and delete that one. Again, we're going to need that color ramp with constants and this. And another mapping node to get it into the right place. Plug that in here. Okay, so they're the wrong way around, so we have to swap it here. Right. So this one we need to change the location again to just below, like this. Okay, again, delete the color, the holdouts, copy this color ramp. It's not wanting to copy. And we need to plug that one in here. And again, we need more mapping. So actually, we can probably use this one here because this should have the right scale. Only the location will be wrong. So let's plug that one in here, that one in here. And then we need now to muck around with the location. Again, we're looking for this to correspond to this. That's good. And swap these around. That's good. We have our hard line here, which we need to set to ease. And we can play with these. Okay. So we now know that these three color ramps are mapped as they should be. I think we can even demonstrate it by no, it doesn't work. Well, you can see with this one, and this one, because I already changed it, we don't see it. So this one now we can also, and I've organized them like this, so we have top here, middle, which is the input one here, bottom here. Okay, so we can now, with this one, put it back to RGB, delete one of these, put the other one on white. Why is that not working? That's weird. Aha, of course, because I'm not plugged into the right place. Here we go. Okay. So we'll come back to these two later, this one and this one. And this one we can make bigger because this is one we're going to be working with. So if I now make this a bit bigger, even bigger still, you can see that we've got a reflection on the middle of the text, and we have on the top white and the bottom white. If I was to go up here and to change the color, you can see we can now change the color of the reflection on any surface that is facing upwards. And same thing on the bottom. We can now adjust our reflection on the bottom facing surfaces. So for now, let's maybe leave the bottom on white and let's put the top one on, maybe not black, but something like that. Okay, so now we want to focus on this middle one. We need to go back to RGB, and we're going to start. We're going to put this on B-spline. I'm going to start working here with the colors. So we want to have some black here. We want to have, yeah. If you watch the YouTube film with the guy doing this in Photoshop, he shows quite a few different gradient designs. So obviously, I'm just going to focus on one here. But I mean, there's a million different ways you could actually do this. But I'm just going to focus on one, which I thought was quite nice. So here we want to have quite a hard line. So we want to get these as close as possible. So we're going to click on the black one, copy its position, and then move to the next point, which is the white one. Paste, and then just add one. And then you can see we get a hard line there. Let us put in here a brown one. And let us put in up here some blue. And we can bring that down a bit. Now, there's something important here, which is that to get like a stronger colors here, we need to put in a gamma node. I'm going to put that in here. Set this to 2.2, and you can see now we get these stronger colors, more contrast, I guess is what that is. Okay, I want to have a bit more white at the horizon. So I don't really understand how this color ramp works, but because, I mean, if I was to click here, I do control and then click, and that puts in another point. But you can see that immediately it gets whiter down here, whereas I would imagine that when you put it in, nothing happens, and it's only when you start to move it, you start to affect it, because if I delete it, you see it changes, and I put it back in. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it seems to be. And what I also noticed is that, like, if I want to get it more white here, I put in another one here, and it gets even whiter. See that? So, and to get the best gradients without like banding appearing, you want to have, generally speaking, evenly spaced points. So when you start to put them in, you have to stop moving them and put other ones in. And there, for instance, you see I've moved this one up, and now we get a line here. So to get rid of that, I have to put in another point. Yeah, I think something like this is kind of cool. So now we can play around with the other. Is this one muted? No. Okay. We can see what we can do here. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of, let's just do this. Yeah, so there's really a lot you can do with this. Let's go back to the bathtub. I mean, you can go pretty wild. If I take this color ramp here and I change it back to the, let's just quickly get back to our rainbow colors. You can see that you can really affect the reflections. You can get some pretty wild stuff in there. Or you could just choose to go here and have two colors. On the bottom and the top. Basically, yeah, kind of limitless possibilities. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm going to show one more little thing, which I'm going to have to stop the video for, get it ready, and then I'll re-record that bit, edit it in at the end. And yeah, I think for now, that's it. Back in a moment. So the first variation I want to show is this one here. This is the render, and what this is, basically, I've put a plane into the scene. I basically just threw it in. I didn't even put a material on it, I don't think. And already you can see you get this very cool effect because the only light that's shining on it, well, the light that's shining on it is dictated by the bathtub, and it creates this very interesting, this very interesting effect. And of course, the bottom of the text is now getting some reflection from the floor. Let's have a look. I didn't put, like I said, I didn't put a material on this, so I don't even know what's going to happen if I start to mess around with that. Okay, so that's interesting. So, I mean, yeah, you get some really interesting effects here straight out the box with this kind of lighting scene. It's quite cool, actually. I like this. And I really like the way that the floor transitions from here to the part of the plane where the light is not hitting it. Okay, so that's variation 1. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to call it a day. Okay, so at the end I made 2 more variations. The first one is, you can see here, I have basically made a plane, subdivided it, extruded it randomly, and then just plonked it in the scene. I didn't even actually put a material on it or anything. So it's just, again, getting the reflection of the bathtub and also from the letters. And yeah, I really actually like this look. It's really cool. The way that the gradients is happening here on the floor, and even the way that you can see underneath. It's kind of like, it's almost like a crumbled piece of paper where you can see underneath it. I think it's a very cool look, very funny. So that's one, and that's this variation here. Let's just hide that. And then the other one is this one here. It's the same piece of paper or plane, whatever. And the important thing here is that I have made it hideable from the camera. So now obviously it's all fucked up. You hide it from the camera, and the only thing that you see is the part which is reflecting in the text. So that's cool. So it's almost like you're looking through the text to a sort of another world on behind it. So that's kind of cool. And I added a bit of ambient occlusion on these sort of mountains, and I smoothed them as well, just to get a bit more shadows and weirdness. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm going to save the whole file like this. I'll also put this in the description so if you want to mess around with it. And I think that's pretty much covers it. Have fun, stay safe, and take it easy.